tell me a little bit about, why this blog and why estate planning, is near and dear to you, and why you wanted to share this with the folks out there.
Well, there's a huge misnomer when it comes to estate planning. First of all, when people just hear the word estate, the assumption for middle America is, well, I don't have an estate, so I don't need to do anything. Or there's the notion that you must have millions and millions of dollars or billions of dollars to even consider focusing on planning with your estate for your family. And that's just not true. One of the things I used to say to people, if you own a rock, you need to do estate planning. But you have things that are valuable and important to you. And I felt like, it's so important for people to understand that everything that they've worked for their entire lifetime has value to them and to their family. And so you want to ensure that everything that you've worked so hard for is used in the most appropriate way and is given to those people that mean the most to you.
Well, the article that you wrote, there's 13 bullet points, and it seems like a lot, but we're going to go through them pretty quick. And the first one, kind of common sense, is failing to plan. Like you said, people may not realize they need an estate plan. So, how often do you see that? There's no plan of action, right? There's a failure to plan at all.
Very, very rare do I run into people who have done any type of estate planning. In fact, one of the misnomers is that people think if I have a will, I've done enough. And I said, no, that's just the tipping point, right? The good thing is if you've done it, great. The challenge, even with that, is many times we do it once and we don't review it. We don't go back through it to make sure that things are still the same space that they need to be in. Life changes often. So, we need to revisit those things. But one of the biggest issues is ensuring that people have what's necessary and know that their estate is valuable, not so much to the world, but to them and their family. So they're so vital that we just take a look at those bits and pieces.
And then you talk about family as well. There are people out there that create an estate plan or have some sort of plan, but they don't discuss that with their family, their friends, their loved ones that'll be affected, by the estate plan. So that's point number 2, is not discussing with family and friends. I know seems like common sense, but it's not always what goes on.
Yeah, that's true. There are 3 key things that I find with people who don't discuss this with their family. One, people have grown up where you just don't talk about money. You don't talk about problems. You don't talk about challenges. And then you have people who the kids don't want to hear about it. No, mom, dad, we don't want to talk about you dying. And so they tend to not have that conversation. And then 3, some people are just apprehensive in expounding upon their estate to their family. They don't want them to know. It's personal. It's private. I made mistakes in the past, or I got too many resources, and I don't want my kids to be trying to figure out what's the quickest way to end me, at end of life. And I really do have these conversations with people, and they are concerns, but we have to have the conversations early. So when time comes and we have to start dealing with the estate, with the family, it's not a shock. It's something that we really thought through.
Yeah, when it comes to federal employees that you and I talk to, I know we talk to federal employees on a daily basis. This is not something. We go back, right? Benefits and retirement are even typically not something that the average federal employee is thinking about on a daily basis. And on top of that, they're certainly not thinking about what is my estate plan going to look like. So discussing a plan, number 1, 2, and then sharing that plan with family, because those are the ones that are going to be utilizing what this person put in place. That's key, right? You don't want them to be confused or left in the dark, and they're out of the loop, and they don't even know where to start. This person may have done the greatest estate plan ever, but the people don't even know where to start. The beneficiaries don't even know where to start when it ends up in the end, right?
That's exactly right. One of the things I do say to people is, you have one mother, you have one father. And typically I'm talking to the mother or the father. I'm saying your children have one mom, one dad. And when something happens to mom, the last thing they're thinking about in that moment is the estate. Mm-hmm. It's the property. They're thinking, I just lost my mother. So the mind is not really where it normally would be emotionally, mentally, and it's going to take some time. But if you have things laid out and you've had those conversations, albeit tough, year after year after year, from maybe 30 minutes to an hour each year, by the time it happens, they are prepared to handle that circumstance in the most appropriate way.